Trump fields questions at the White House. One senator thinks you have a deformed brain, and a blast from the past with Nancy Pelosi. Next on the AM Update.
And Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned.
You can't have strong national security without border security. No one understood that better than President Trump's first term. His success on the border is unprecedented.
And what do you do when you have a teenager who's threatening themselves and others? You just try to get them through this period so that their brain can fully form.
Are you talking about Trump?
No, I'm talking about our country.
When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, as on a visitor's visa, you are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa.
President Trump held a fairly lengthy Q&A with the media yesterday, first touting the topic of falling oil prices.
I'm very happy with is oil is down to $65 a barrel. And that's faster than I would have intended. We put on the gas, we stepped in the gas in order to get oil. And with what's happening, so we're getting that down.
Trump was also asked about Chuck Schumer over in the Senate.
And Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. You know, he's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian.
Also, the topic of Rosie O'Donnell came up.
And I'm here in Ireland, and it's beautiful and warm, not physically. It's actually quite cold.
So Rosie O'Donnell, of course, becoming the first actor or actress or celebrity to actually follow through with their threat to leave the United States if Donald Trump won again. Trump was asked about that. This was all during a meeting with Ireland's Prime Minister. Trump was asked about Rosie O'Donnell leaving, and here's what he had to say.
Loving people, great attitude, many in this room right now that I've met. Why in the world would you let Rosie O'Donnell move to Ireland? I think she's going to lower your happiness level.
That's true. Thank you. I like that question.
Mr. Prime Minister, are you expecting?
Do you know who she is?
Yeah. I'm joking.
You're better off not knowing.
So Trump tells Ireland's Prime Minister, you're better off not knowing who Rosie O'Donnell is. Border Czar Tom Homan was in D.C. yesterday touting Trump's record on the border.
You can't have strong national security without border security. No one understood that better than President Trump's first term. His success on the border is unprecedented. Unprecedented. Now, he just came back in office, and I came back out of retirement for the second time to serve this president because I respect him so greatly. He did in 3 weeks what Joe Biden couldn't do in 4 years. Border numbers right now down 96%. 96% border numbers are down. He was at over 90% in 3 weeks. 96% decrease. That means when you got 96% less people crossing that border, less women are being raped by the cartels, less children are dying making that journey, less Americans are dying from fentanyl that comes across the north border, less women and children are sex trafficked, less terrorists are getting into this country.
Now, I don't want this to sound like faint praise, even though it's true that the bar was very low for border security compared with Joe Biden's record. But this has got to be the biggest achievement of the early Trump administration so far. You just cannot deny those numbers, at least compared to what they were the last 4 years. And Tom Homan is right on the money. Nevertheless, I'm hoping someday that number is 100% fewer border crossings than there were with Joe Biden. Maybe that's pie in the sky. And deportations need to continue and increase, but overall, like I said, this is an astounding accomplishment in such a short period of time. The Environmental Protection Agency announced the most consequential day of deregulation in U.S. history on Wednesday, putting the Biden administration's Clean Power Plan 2.0, which cracked down on power plants, on the chopping block. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin laid out more details about what they're actually trying to accomplish.
Among many other actions, today's momentous day also includes the 2009 endangerment finding, along with all actions that rely on it. I've been told the endangerment finding is considered the holy grail of the climate change religion. For me, the U.S. Constitution and the laws of this nation will be strictly interpreted and followed. No exceptions. Today, the Green New scam ends as the EPA does its part to usher in the golden age of American success.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin says the woke religion's green arm stops with him at the helm of the EPA. Zeldin also said the EPA is reconsidering rules on over-the-top mercury and air toxicity standards and reconsidering rules on light, medium, and heavy cars and trucks and so-called social cost of carbon rules. Hopefully he can follow through on some of those promises. Michigan Senator Elissa Slotkin was who gave the Democrat response to last week's joint address to Congress from President Trump. She joined The View this week, and I'm not sure who this message appeals to, aside from people like Elissa Slotkin.
Right. I think there's a feeling in the country. Yeah. I mean, I often say this, we're about to turn 250 years old, right? We're still pretty young for a country. These are our like our angry teenage years, right? We are going through this push and pull where we're happy, we're sad, we want this, we want that. And what do you do when you have a teenager who's threatening themselves and others? You just try to get them through this period alive so that their brain can fully form and you can come back to kind of what
Are
a
you
country.
talking about Trump?
No, I'm talking about our country. We're pendulum swinging.
Even frickin' Joy Behar was like, Senator Slotkin, do you know what you're saying here? Do you know what you're saying? Like, who does that appeal to other than white woke women with a superiority complex? Telling the entire country your brain is underdeveloped for voting for Donald Trump. Who does that appeal to? Let me know at Real AM Update on X. Marco Rubio got into it on the topic of whether or not the United States should be in the business of deporting those with visas on college campuses who are fomenting pro-Hamas rallies. I thought his answer was pretty good.
When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, as on a visitor's visa, okay, you are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. We can deny you that if you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa. I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student, and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities. I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out. It's as simple as that. This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way. So when you apply for a student visa, or any visa to enter the United States, we have a right to deny you for virtually any reason. But I think being a supporter of Hamas and coming into our universities and turning them upside down and being complicit in what are clearly crimes of vandalization, complicit in shutting down learning institutions. There are kids at these schools that can't go to class. You pay all this money to these high-priced schools that are supposed to be of great esteem, and you can't even go to class. You're afraid to go to class because these lunatics are running around with covers on their face, screaming terrifying things. If you told us that's what you intended to do when you came to America, we would have never let you in. And if you do it once you get in, we're going to revoke it and kick you out.
So I didn't mind necessarily the White House's original announcement that they were arresting this Mahmoud Khalil at Columbia University and deporting him. I didn't mind their original announcement, but what we've heard from House Speaker Mike Johnson and then especially from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, like what you just heard, that's much better messaging saying this is not a free speech issue. These people are visitors on visas, and if they're expressing support for terrorists, yes, we are well within our rights to say goodbye, good luck. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced yesterday he thinks the Democrats can block the House's continuing resolution.
Funding the government should be a bipartisan effort, but Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input from congressional Democrats. Because of that, Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate to invoke cloture on the House CR. Our caucus is unified on a clean April 11th CR that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass.
Chuck Schumer saying the Democrats are going to block the House's CR and need 60 votes in the Senate to actually pass. So it sounds like the Democrats in the Senate are totally fine shutting the government down. I saw yesterday as well, Senator Rand Paul, a Republican, says he's not going to vote for the CR either. We'll see how this goes. This might be playing right into Donald Trump's hands, like we kind of talked about in passing yesterday. If they shut the government down and they try to put this all at Trump's feet, that gives Donald Trump and other arms and apparatus of the federal government that will not shut down even more power. Do Democrats want to risk that? We're going to see how this plays out. By the way, quickly before we get to our break here, here's Nancy Pelosi back in the year 2010.
We cannot keep our promises on Medicare. We simply must make the cuts in waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare so that the benefits and the premiums are untouched. We owe it to our seniors. We owe it to our country.
Nancy Pelosi in the year 2010. My, how the turntables. When we come back, Greenland had a vote this week. The VA secretary with a masterclass on dealing with the media. And we'll get to your poll results. That's coming up next. Greenland's likely new prime minister on Wednesday rejected U.S. President Donald Trump's effort to take control of the island, saying Greenlanders must be allowed to decide their own future as it moves toward independence from Denmark. Jens Friedrich Nielsen's Democratet, a pro-business party that favors a slow path to independence, won a surprise victory in Tuesday's parliamentary election, outpacing the two left-leaning parties that formed the last government. With most Greenlanders opposing Trump's overtures, the campaign focused more on issues like healthcare and education than on geopolitics. Nevertheless, though, that's still a pretty major victory. That is a center-right, realist but pro-independence party, and it wasn't, as I said, the expected result. He thinks there is more afoot when it comes to Greenland independence and maybe a joint venture with the United States in terms of helping them achieve that independence. I've said this before. Greenland has about 56,000 residents. If we really wanted to, we could buy all of them off for less than 0.5% of our GDP. It's possible. If we promised them all $100,000, I think I figured that out to about less than 0.5% of the United States gross domestic product. If they just decided, yeah, we're going to align with the United States rather than Denmark. So again, a story that I thought was a joke back when Trump floated this years ago, seemingly having more wheels and more wings than I thought. Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins confronted a Military.com reporter for publishing articles based on rumors. This is an incredible exchange. Listen to VA Secretary Doug Collins absolutely wreck this reporter.
But I do have a second thing, Patricia, I really need to know. One of the things that I've been finding, we got into it a little bit in the discussion, but one of the issues that we're having is, and it's something here, I need your help on something. I need your help because all I seem to be doing lately is fighting back against innuendo and rumor stories. And this is what I seem to be fighting about all the time. In fact, Patricia, part of it is with you.
I'm sure.
And I just need your help because when you start headlines with, there's a rumor going around and that we've heard that hurts my veterans. That scares my veterans. That scares my employees because it's not true. Will you commit to not doing that in the future?
Well, there was a DOJ representative that day.
I have a VA employee who is our DOJ liaison. You knew that and you could ask that question.
I did ask that
But
question.
when you got the answer. But my question here is, I need you to commit to not starting off rumors began circulating.
I mean,
well, if it's either true or false, Patricia, and then you go to Patty Murphy, saying that we've heard and we have DOJ may have barged into the VA today. Unconfirmed hearsay. You know what you'd have done if I was a member of Congress and probably done that? Unconfirmed report. But you didn't put unconfirmed report.
Right.
So, Patricia, I want to work together with you.
Okay.
But I need you to commit to me that you're not going to do this.
I'm working on it, and I have been actually, I have another question based on that. Thank you very much.
No, I want to hear the answer first. Are you committing not to do rumors? Because you're scaring my VA employees about this.
That's fair.
And you're scaring my veterans.
Yeah,
That's unforgivable. That's not something I take lightly.
But if a rumor is different than if I have a source.
Then you source it to our PR people and let them know. Because you know something? I've got people who are reporting stuff right now who aren't even calling us. They don't even get something from. They don't even call us to check it.
Well, that's not right.
Well, this isn't right either.
Okay. Well, that's fair. But I did call about that.
Good.
I did call about
And you got the answer. But yet you still report it as a rumor.
Well, I didn't.
Okay, which is it? Which is it? Is it a rumor or is it get confirmed?
Was that there is a Doge person there.
There is.
Okay,
nobody has said that from you. Nobody. We answered it, but it was reported as a rumor. I mean, you think about
this. I take issue with parsing out my stuff,
and the headline of the story, Elon Musk. Hey, I don't care who wrote it.
I know.
But your byline.
I'm starting to push back on those, and I
okay. But you think about what it says here. Elon Musk aide is now working at VA accessing computer systems. Ooh. I mean, that's all in this.
That's a true statement.
No, it is, because you know what? We don't make a Doge employee, which is funny because they're VA employees, a liaison. We don't also give them a penny.
I was not told that.
We don't give.
I was not told.
But you wrote the article.
Liaison. It
you wrote the article.
It was a Doge employee. One Doge employee.
As we look at this, Patricia, I want you to know something. When you look at this headline and you're accessing computer systems, I want to work with you a lot as we go forward. We're going to have a lot of time together.
That's fair.
But I'm not going to have any reporter scaring my employees and scaring the veterans. And that's what this is doing. Let's get it right. I'm the most transparent VA secretary we've had yet. I'm on video. I'm on interviews. I do everything I possibly can to push back against everything I'm hearing. So we got a team that'll help you, but I need your commitment to help me too. Okay?
VA Secretary Doug Collins absolutely mollywopping a military.com reporter by the name of Patricia Keim, accusing her to her face of overtly writing obfuscating headlines and sketchy rumors in the pages of military.com. And you can tell she is not used to any politician or any member of the military being that combative and confrontational with her, stammering over and over again, saying, yes, I'll work on that. I'm sorry. Kind of almost getting to the point of saying, I'm sorry. That's how you deal with the media, even the military.com media. Hopefully, Doug Collins at the VA doesn't have any more issues with her. And finally, air analysis. We got our poll of the week, the memification of J.D. Vance. I gave you 4 options. Other, comment below. In third place was I don't understand the memes with 16.5%. Second place, I understand the memes. I don't care. That's in second place with 25%. And in first place, 55.5% say you understand the memes and you enjoy them. A couple of people said, including Miss USA 1776, I don't understand and I do enjoy. You know what? Having thought about it a little bit more, that's kind of where I am. I don't understand all the memes, but that kind of makes them more funny sometimes. Justin Plaster says, I understand, enjoy, and think it's potentially very impactful culturally. A turn has begun in which common sense, logic, reason, morality maybe are cool again, or as much as it can be in negative world. So I pretty much agree with the first part of that, and that's what I was trying to articulate the other day, is that we are as close to the internet being real life as we ever have been. And so what happens when the internet as real life actually has ubiquitous memes of one key political figure? That figure rises to level of pop culture lore that could not be done otherwise. That's what I was trying to kind of hint at the other day, or get at the other day. Erica Svanberg says, why do we have to analyze everything? It's just funny. Well, I don't know. I curate topics every morning for you, and so we got to have some things to talk about. And I thought maybe the dichotomy here of seeing the left and right both enjoying the exact same thing was interesting, and so I thought that was worth analysis. Steph says, don't understand, don't care. Vance, though. Valerius Altushol says, understand, enjoy more and more every single day. Spang308 says, the more of a pop culture icon he can become helps solidify his chances of winning in 2028. If he can make further inroads with 18 to 29-year-old voters and keep Trump's MAGA coalition, he'll be tough to beat. Yeah, I don't think the memification of him alone will send him to the White House, but it doesn't hurt anything at all. Alex Pfeiffer says, reminds me of the time everyone on both sides were making memes of Bernie Sanders all bundled up wearing a mask. I think the original photo was him at Biden's inauguration. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that, but this has gone way beyond the reach of that meme. But it is kind of like that. All right, thanks for everybody participating. Thank you for making your submissions for Ask or Tell Me Anything. That's coming up tomorrow. You can ask me any question you want. Tell me any news story you think needs covered on the AM Update. Make your submissions over at Real AM Update on X. Look for the pinned post. Have a wonderful Thursday. Back at it again tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntyre, and this is the AM Update.